The moment we were within swimming distance of Califontana, the older kids cannonballed into the Carulian Ocean. Old Chief might have worried about the potential danger of shark attacks, but I did not waste my breath on such matters. If the kids trusted the water enough to dive in, I would not get between them and their bravery. And, according to my calculations, if a shark swallowed about 4 of them, the rest of us might actually have a chance of surviving on this island. Califontana seemed to have escaped the Great Divide, a war between beliefs that took place over 120 years ago. The island was pristine in comparison to many of the post-war locations I had seen. Palm trees lined the border between sand and soil. Land jutted outward in random patterns, forming craggy cliffs that seemed to be at least 50 feet tall. Water nearest the coastline was glass, clearer than crystal. At least it was before the kids emptied their bladders in it. I would consider that soiled soil. According to the position of the sun, it only took about 30 minutes to paddle to shore and anchor the boat from the moment I spotted the island. I would have dubbed it a new personal best, but the wind carried us most of the way. Plus, I had never taken the boat to an island in the middle of the Atlantic before, so this was more of a new personal first. By the time I was ready to explore the land, the youth had already decided that living in the water would be a much better idea. I told them no, for 2 reasons. 1, we could not breathe underwater, and 2, our skin would prune up worse than Elder Charlie's during bath time. Maybe the second one wasn't completely true, but it was all they needed to hear in order to stop frolicking in the waves and follow me into the woods. If Old Chief were here, he would have sent a group of highly trained huntsmen to scope the place out. But I thought that was completely unnecessary. For one, Califontana looked like it had not been touched by human hands since it sprang up from the ground. Second, if someone had been here, I doubt they would harm a group of adorable children. I mean, come on. So using as much caution as the leader of a kid army could, I surveyed the terrain. I immediately recognized markings in the soil, trails of an adult deer with multiple wolves in pursuit. It puzzled me as to how deer and wolves wound up on an island, but I was happy about it nonetheless. Meat would be far more fulfilling than coconuts. We blazed a trail through the trees, taking note of the wildlife and edible plants we came across. I expected there to be a surplus of berry bushes, but Califontana was not a home to tropical pleasures. The island was a carnivore's dreamland. While I was overcome with the thoughts of food, Xavier's knees buckled. He toppled to the ground, overcome with hunger pains. His friends rushed to his side. That was when I had to make a choice about what kind of chief I was going to be. I could carry him the rest of the way, or tell him to get up. So I told him. I told him that we were all hungry. I told him to keep going. And he did. He got up and he kept going. I wanted to carry him, but being chief was not about what I wanted. It was about what they needed. Getting up and continuing on. It was going to make them strong. Upon finding a freshwater river, I decided to set up camp so the kids could rest. That also meant I would finally be able to hunt. Hunting was always a talent of mine. Back in the Mukonian Valley, many elders would place bets on how much kill I would return with after 60 minutes. It was somewhat a tradition of theirs, and those who trusted in me saw great profit. Califontana seemed to be overflowing with deer, but in killing one there would be too much meat to go around. Meat would go to waste, and it was not my style to let an animal's death be in vain. I would have to kill something smaller. A few birds and rabbits would suffice. It would be easy for me to craft a wooden bow and some arrows, but daylight was dwindling. The only tools I needed to put dinner on the hypothetical table were my hands. "Hunter," I called as I smeared dirt on my exposed skin. "Build a fire. Ryder and Summer, I'm counting on you to watch everyone. Keep them safe." "Yes, Chief." I nodded to myself, speaking assuringly. "I will be back before dark." They knew that I always kept my word, and this assured them that I would be back when I promised. They also knew that the longer I hunted, the more food I would have when I returned. I was good like that. I wanted to kiss Juniper like I always did before a hunt. I wanted to hug her for the first time since our parents were killed. I wanted to tell her that everything was going to be okay. But I realized in that moment that I'd never be able to comfort her like I used to. Yes, she was my biological sister, but I could not choose favorites. I had to hug and kiss everyone, or none of them. So I left. Because if I were emotional, it could threaten my authority and result in a lack of respect. Respect was essential. Social interaction was not. Loneliness was in my job description.